I'm Dr. Ken Tanabe. I have the honor to serve as the president of the SSO. And today I have with me Dr. Vivian Bea, and we're going to talk about Sphere. Dr. Bea, can you introduce yourself to our viewers and describe the role of the Sphere Committee?
Absolutely. First of all, it's so wonderful being here today in this space with you. I'm so excited to serve as the chair now of the Surgical Oncology Pathways in Healthcare Engagement, Representation, and Education, previously known as DEI Advisory Board. We're now on a committee. And I come from New York. I am at New York Presbyterian, Brooklyn Methodist, a part of the New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Enterprise.
Right, terrific. So, one of the programs that you guys have going on now is the Foster the Future Mentorship Program. What can you tell us about that?
So, Foster the Future program is really one of our babies. It's a mentoring program intentionally designed to strengthen really the pipeline into surgical oncology. And we do this by identifying and supporting talented general surgery residents throughout the country, and ideally from communities that are historically been underrepresented in medicine, as well as those training in lower resource environments. At its core, Foster the Future program provides really that early exposure that is meaningful and needed as it relates to mentorship and access to our wonderful society.
So who is eligible and what is the timeline for folks to be looking out for this?
So, who's eligible? We have general surgery residents who really are interested in going into one of our surgical oncology pathways. We award a really small cohort, and that's intentional. There are 5 awardees each year because we really want to allow that space for deep mentorship and engagement. Now, as far as the timeline is concerned, the applications generally open up sometime in the summer, and it allows us to sort of sort through as a committee the candidates, and then they're made aware of their award in the early fall. This is intentional because it allows the committee to be assigned mentor, and mentor. Um, and we have sort of pre-meetings before our big sort of meeting at the Surgical Society of Oncology, our annual meeting. And so 5 awardees. I should note that one of the awardees, intentionally, we have an international resident because, again, we want to increase and expand that global reach and that pipeline.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think you mentioned this, but so last year, how many awardees were there?
There were 5 awardees and one international out of those 5.
Terrific. And then, surgery residents are not going to be watching this video here. It's going to be our SSO members. And so, for our SSO members, what type of residents, general surgery residents, would you like them to be on the lookout for to get them interested in this program?
We really want residents who are interested in a surgical oncology pathway, but need that extra bit of mentoring. Obviously, we want interest, but we also want those who we think are going to do well. They may have been able to go into a research lab, and not always, because again, we have to think about this is why we're doing it, right? We have underrepresented and residents who may be at a rural hospital or residency program where they don't have that same access. The goal really is to provide that access and to expand their reach, to further their application, and to get them the mentoring that they need and the sponsorship that they need so that they can successfully match into a fellowship program. One of the wonderful things that our staff does and has done over the years is really understood the need to reach out to our surgical oncology society members through residency program directors who we say, we send the information, the call for applications where we identify the residents who, or the application criteria, I should say, and eligibility for those residents. So again, we want someone who is interested in going into the SSO and who kind of maybe just needs that little extra boost to get them through to a fellowship program.
Well, that's terrific. So this is a bit of a APB ad for our members to be on the lookout for residents that they would like to interested in surgical oncology that they would like to champion or are going to benefit and become successful from that extra event.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what can you tell us about the SSO Pipeline Outreach Webinar? Um, yeah, please tell us about it.
Absolutely. So the Pipeline Outreach Webinar was started years ago under the leadership of Dr. Lisa Newman, who really understood the importance of developing that pipeline from the ground up. We have had webinars that include medical students, residents who are maybe not sure where they want to go, if they want to do a subspecialty and whether they want to go into one of our SSO subspecialty pathways. And it's really a unique opportunity. I have had the privilege of being a part of these webinars for many years now. It's a virtual session where the committee members are able to really engage with these students, these residents who may be interested, and we sort of discuss how we got to where we are, which is always nice, right? To be reminded of our own unique pathways, which are very diverse and true and important to us. And in sharing that, we always know that, or we always say that when someone sees someone who looks like them and they can understand their pathway, they can find similarities and say, I can do this as well. And so I think on both ends, from the attendee standpoint, but also from our committee members, it really is a nice reminder of why we went into these surgical subspecialties that we have gone into, and just sort of more in depth. We have these breakout rooms that each of the committee members are assigned to, and the attendees are actually able to decide what interests them the most. And so some of the breakout rooms that we've had in the past, work-life balance, which is important. There's always a question of, can I go into a surgical subspecialty in oncology and really have work-life balance? So we have some members who are able to talk about that and speak to that. Research and how to do research, the importance of research, is another separate room that the attendees can attend. We've also had program directors from Breast Fellowship, for example, or one of our CGSO fellowships, to talk about the process of getting into the fellowship, which I think is invaluable for our attendees, because it's always a question of, what do I need to do? How do I become competitive? To hear from the source themselves has been really invaluable for our attendees. We also have been able to uniquely pull our members who are early career surgeons, who really understand the process and are really most connected to going from general surgery to a subspecialty fellowship, and then their first couple of years of practice and what that looks like. And that has been helpful as well for our attendees.
Oh, that really sounds very interesting. It's interesting enough where, so I have to acknowledge I've not attended one of those webinars, but now I want to attend one of those.
Fine. You should.
I won't put you on the spot by asking when the next one is, but I will check it out.
I think we've got a really compact year, and so we've already started the planning, and the goal is to have it in early fall. We want to really catch residents before their year gets busy, but enough time to allow those who are making application to really have some benefits. So it will be in the fall sometime.
All right, outstanding. Sphere has, over the years, put together a lot of podcasts. And I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite Sphere podcast?
Oh, that's tough. I love all the podcasts. I value our members and their unique experiences that they have been able to share. There's some that have stood out to me because I simply learned from, and I think that's the point of having podcasts. And in particular for its Sphere, and sort of looking at the pillars for the SSO, we know that we want to have more of a global reach. And so, these podcasts allow us to talk about the inequities that are present from a race standpoint, from a gender standpoint. I really thought that the Native American podcast underscore the importance of really being culturally aligned and applying or supplying the appropriate care and access to patients who are Native American. And I think our committee members did a really outstanding job in highlighting the inequities that exist, but also the opportunities. Through the podcast, I am a breast surgical oncologist, and a lot of my work is in healthcare disparities as they relate to breast and inequalities for Black women. I will say these podcasts that we've had, Native American, we've had Latina geared podcasts, we've had clinical trial diversity, we've had separating gender from cancer care types. Throughout all of these podcasts, we find that there are many similarities that exist, and many similarities, but also there are important differences that we as a society should really take the time to talk about and work through with the goal of really making real world impact. And so I think that's what ultimately these podcasts has provided. At least for me, I've learned, about the Native American culture, for example, and the struggles with accruing to clinical trials, which is some of the same struggles that we may see within the Black population as it relates to the historical mistrust that is there, and that there are certain things that we need to do as world leaders to open up that door of access and understand and build that trust. And so I know I said a lot. I think the podcasts are really a highlight for our committee because it reflects the intention of being inclusive, but also providing access, much needed access for our patients.
That's terrific. They sound very impactful, and actually, your passion over the one in particular on Native American healthcare is one that I'll be honest, I haven't listened to, but I'm going to go back and look that one up. So, in the coming year, are there any topics that you're really looking forward to for these podcasts?
Our For the podcast itself or for just the sphere in general?
Well, either. Pretty open
Well,
ended.
we've really the podcast, we've touched on a number of things. I think part of one of our themes with Sphere is to move not just with identifying the inequities that exist, but really coming up with real solutions to address those issues. And that is evident in our in the past meeting, we actually had a full series talking about how we can sort of move from just talking about inequities in cancer care, but really real world solutions that we can, incorporate information science, implementation science, um, engaging with community leaders, building trust, how we can really take these tangible things and make a difference. And so I envision from a podcast standpoint, or really any initiative that we continue to push forward, that as we continue to say, yes, we need data and we need to have representation, we're also saying that we have some solutions that have already been identified. And let's really lean into the science and the data and work to implement. And so, I think to that end, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a micro learning opportunity, or whether it's one of our committee members speaking on the society meeting stage, talking about how we as a society can move forward in that way. It's going to really be the highlight, and it's going to allow us to continue to build that foundation that was set many years ago with Monica Morrow and Lisa Newman and Alaric Willis. The goal is to continue to build those bricks so that we can, be strong as a society.
It's very clear why Sphere has done so well, and more importantly, why there's so much engagement and enthusiasm amongst the SSO's membership. The Sphere contributions to the meeting content each year are, very well attended and of great interest, and we'll be looking forward to SSO 2027. Thank you very much, Dr. B. This has really been a great opportunity to hear about what you're doing and what the committee is doing. And as always, thank you very, very much for your efforts.
My pleasure. Thank you.